And play football, a little football.
He's always had a little Magic Johnson in him.
A little bit.
That's exactly what I thought.
Do the Bills look like the best team in football?
Okay, so everybody knows I believe the best team in football is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
I also think people think they know what I'm going to do today. Brew was looking around for people awaiting
Absolutely.
a September Champs banner
sent it to
to
you.
be dropped on their head, or for a roller coaster graphic
those
to
are good.
pop up. And that's because people incorrectly think I'm a Buffalo Bills hater. I am not a Bills hater.
Okay.
I am a Bills soothsayer.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
I have been correct when everyone else has been wrong. And that includes this year when everyone at this desk, save me, picked someone else to win the Bills division. When everyone in the national media said, Bills are going to be taking a step back this year. And I said, wait a moment. And so today is not a day where I am going to do the usual tricks for a usually overrated Bills team, because that's not what I think we have at hand. Instead, I'm going to tell a very quick story about a football team and see if it reminds you of anything. A legitimate Super Bowl contender that never gets blown out, ever. And then, in their biggest game of the season in the playoffs, gets rolled by multiple scores. Comes back the next year even better, thinking, all right, this is going to be the year we make up for that. And then in a home playoff game to an arch rival, loses by 3 points in heartbreaking fashion. That offseason, trades away their best player, the media cools on them, and that superstar quarterback responds by winning the MVP, by the team leading the league in points, and winning the Super Bowl. I just told the story of the 2020 to 2022 Kansas City Chiefs, and maybe the 2022 to 2024 Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
Now, I do not think that the Bills are going to beat the Chiefs come playoff time. I do think that I would like to amend what I said yesterday, that there's only one good team in the league. I think there's two. And I think that it is not an overreaction to say the Bills look like one of the two best teams in the league. It is not an overreaction to say they have clearly right now the second best quarterback in football. And much like when the Chiefs traded away Tyreek Hill, coming off back-to-back devastating playoff losses, a blowout in the Super Bowl, heartbreaker to Cincinnati, and the Bills trade away Stephon Diggs, coming off getting blown out by the Bengals, and a heartbreaker to Kansas City. Sometimes a great player at that position can raise the water of everyone else. So I'm not going to mock the Bills or drop banners, because they are not mockable or banner worthy. This is an excellent team that just put it on a team that we'll discuss later in the show. So that's my answer.
That was solid. That was solid. That was very mature and cogent.
That's all I've ever done to the Bills.
And
Mature,
unusual
cogent,
coming from
accurate
that side of
analysis.
the table. No, look, until the Chiefs get beat, everybody's going to assume, I don't care if they're 10-3, 10-4, whatever at some point, they're going to assume that's the best team, fine. Right now, the Bills look like the best team in football. And we know the Chiefs haven't been incredibly impressive. I know they played a tough schedule, but they haven't blown anybody out. The Bills look like the best. The main problem with, and you brought up the roller coaster, we really couldn't do it this year yet with Josh Allen, even though game 2 he didn't have great stats, but they rolled, so he didn't really need to do much. His main problem was the reckless, mindless turnovers, and credit to Joe Brady, at least so far, he's gotten those out of his game this year. Because yesterday was not what they had been doing, which is not throwing it much, running a lot, not a ton of stuff for Josh to do as far as the throwing game. He was winging it. He had 4 touchdown passes, obviously, in the first half. He was throwing that thing like he does at his best. And I think getting rid of Diggs, and this is a little different from Tyreek, I don't know that he certainly wasn't the type of problem Diggs was. Now Josh, and he may have alluded to it in the press conference, but now he's just throwing it to the open man. Whether it's Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, a tight end,
and it's
Dalton
not as many
Kincaid,
bombs
James
either.
Cook. Right.
It's
just but I think he's playing free without.
So I wanted to highlight this clip right here. And because Nick Wright is saying that Josh Allen right now is the number 2 quarterback in the NFL. He's saying that he's number 2 behind Patrick Mahomes. And I know that Nick Wright is a huge Chiefs fan. I get it. Patrick Mahomes is trying to go for the three-peat. He's been the best quarterback, of the 2020s. All those things are true. But another thing can be true as well, that Patrick Mahomes is great, as great as we all know that he is. But Josh Allen is playing the best football in the NFL, bar none. Today, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL. The Bills are the best team in the NFL. Maybe with like the Vikings and the Seahawks or whoever else you want to name in there. But I personally feel like the Bills are the best team in the NFL. Now, that is no disrespect to Patrick Mahomes or the Chiefs, who are a really good team. The Chiefs are a defensive-led team today. Just like they were last year. Like, I think people like forget this a little bit, but the Chiefs were a defensive-led team last year. They had the best defense in the league. I know the Ravens' stats were better last year, but what we saw in the playoffs, the Chiefs had the best defense in the NFL. Right? Their defense this year hasn't taken a step back. Right? The defense is really good. Andy Reid is really good. Patrick Mahomes is still great. But I think we get so caught up in this is Patrick Mahomes, so we have to say he's the best quarterback. We have to put him number 1. We have to do this. We have to do that. But Josh Allen is as physically, or if not more physically gifted than Patrick Mahomes. He can do everything that Mahomes is doing, and I think the questions that we always had about Josh Allen was the fact that he did turn the football over way too much, especially for a quarterback of his caliber. But I don't get it. I don't understand why Nick and a lot of these TV pundits are so reluctant to give Josh Allen his respective due. Like, Josh Allen has been balling. And I think it's because they see the Bills and they lose in the playoffs, or the Bills haven't beaten the Chiefs, and I understand all that, but we're not talking about who's going to win the Super Bowl, right? Because none of us know. But today, after week 3 going into week 4, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL, and honestly, Mahomes hasn't looked all that great. And Nick Wright is very, very much a blind fan. And you kind of wish that he wouldn't be so blind to this. Like, hey, today Mahomes isn't the best, and that's fine. We know when the postseason gets here, we know Mahomes is going to be a different breed. We get all that. I think that as well. But right now, Josh Allen is playing the best football in the NFL. The best football. And because he's playing the best football, the Bills are the best team today. They're balling. They destroyed the Jaguars. And the Jags coming into the year, Nick Wright was so high on the Jags. He was so high on the Jags. Trevor Lawrence, the Prince, all that, right? He was so high on them. The Bills go in there, absolutely destroy them. One of the biggest victories of the season. By margin, and he's like, yeah, well, we know that he's not going to go in the postseason, and we know he's not going to do anything there. But what does that have to do with who's playing the best football today? So it's interesting to hear this from Nick. I'm not surprised, and I'm very curious to see how the next month of football goes when we start to really see these teams actually start to position themselves in the way that they will be kind of for the rest of the year. And I'm really interested to see where Nick Wright's opinion kind of goes from there. Even though, I personally believe that the Bills are the best team right now. That don't mean they will be, in January, but today they are. And hopefully we can start giving them credit. I'll come on here and give them credit 10 times out of 10 because I see it. I try to be unbiased as I possibly can be. And I'm not a Bills fan or anything like that, but I just want to be unbiased. And I feel like Josh Allen's playing the best football today. And unfortunately, Nick Wright and a couple of these guys are being biased as well. We'll see, right?